Well, what do you say? Should we finish our pillow today? Let's do it. Hey everyone, Cristin here, and how about if today we finish our winter pillow? So if you've been following along, you know that we've been using the Winter Volume 1 CD or direct download from the Kimberbell Vault, and also the Lucky Us pillow as our design for our pillow. And have you seen everybody's pictures? Oh my gosh, they're so fun. It's so exciting to see it coming together, and we're almost done. We are actually on the last couple of steps now. So we're gonna go over those last couple steps one by one. We'll take them one by one. So one other thing is that on this video, we're gonna talk inner borders, outer border, which is the flange, and then we're gonna talk the backing and one other thing. So I'll go over them step by step. So let's start with the inner border. For the inner borders, you're gonna cut 4 pieces of fabric. All right, I'm using a plain design so that I can see the quilting. You can choose to use a plain design, or you can use a more decorative design that you won't see the quilting but will pull out the colors of your pillow. Either way, whatever works for you. So like I said, I'm using this for my inner border. So for the inner border, we're going to cut 4 pieces. 2 pieces that are 1.5 by 16.5. 2 pieces at 1.5 by 16.5. And like I said, I did back these with fusible stabilizer. I think that works really well for warding off puckers. And then for the other 2 pieces, you're going to cut them to 1.5 by 18.5. So 1.5 by 18.5, 2 pieces. And then for your batting, it's just going to be a 1/2 inch both sides smaller. So that would mean that you want batting that is 1 by 16, 2 pieces 1 by 16, and then 2 pieces that are 1 by 18. So, and then what I did is I used a glue stick and just, it's very light. I probably could pull it up, but I'm not going to. So you're just going to want to center your batting very carefully so that you have a 1/4 inch seam allowance on both sides and both ends. And let me see if I can zoom in on here. All right, so then you can see I've got my 1/4 inch seam allowance up at the top and both sides. See that? And so I used a glue stick to put mine on. You can use that sticky spray. We're gonna bypass a couple of steps, and so we are gonna go ahead and add our batting to our fabric this way. So I'll go over it step by step, don't worry. But for now, cut out your fabrics, like I said, and then add your batting for our inner borders. So since we're gonna quilt them, I looked through very many quilting design options, and we need to have one that is 1 inch wide times whatever hoop size that you want to use. I'm going to use my 6 by 10 hoop, and it makes it really easy. Instead of figuring out the math of all of them, if I do 2 hoopings in my 6 by 10 hoop, I will have 20 inches of quilting, or close to 20 inches of quilting, but it doesn't matter how long the quilting is because I've already got my batting exactly right. So any extra will just run off of the sides. So that will work fine. So each of the strips will take 2 hoopings because it's 18-inch strip of fabric, and it'll be a 20-inch quilting design, or a little under 20 inches quilting design. So bottom line is, if you are using a 6 by 10 hoop, or an 8 by 12 hoop, or 9 by 14 hoop, it doesn't matter. You can use 2 designs. And then if you are using a 5 by 7 hoop, you will use the 1 inch by 7 inch and do 3 hoopings. Very simple. And like I said, if you've already got your batting attached onto your fabric, then you'll just let the excess quilting design run off onto the edge. It's not going to matter because our batting won't be in our seams. So on that, we need a 1 inch design. So to get a 1 inch design, the only way you can get a 1 inch design is by getting a border. So if you want to stay within our winter theme and you want a 1 inch border, the 2 options that I found are, Christmas border 1 and Christmas border 2. Both of those work well for this design. You can use any border that is a 1-inch width. Doesn't matter at all, but those are the two that I found that fit within the winter theme. So Christmas border 1, I don't have that one. I like that one a lot. It's really cute, but I don't have that one. So I'm going to use Christmas border 2. Christmas border 1 is the one with the Christmas lights, and then for the 1-inch border, it's got this little squiggly that is really cute. I like that one. But either one, whichever you choose, we're not going to use that for our quilting design, or I'm sorry, for the flange design, because it's not the right size, and we'll go over that with the flange. But for now, we're just going to focus on the inner border, and like I said, you want a 1-inch design. So Christmas border 1 or Christmas border 2 both fit 1 inches and both fit within our winter theme, but use whatever you want. 1-inch thickness width is all that matters. All right, so like I said, I'm going to use Christmas border 2, and it looks like leaves to me. I'm not totally sure if that's what it is, but it's just this little, like, looks like little leaves on it. So I'm going to use that. I already have that, and it fits within my winter theme, and it's 1 inches. Perfect. So that's what I'm doing for my inner borders. We'll talk more about the other steps in just a bit. Hey, guess what? I just noticed that in the clear blue tiles folder of designs that we got, there is a border in there that is a 1-inch wide. So that means that you could do the swirls or the loops for your inner borders in a 1-inch by 7 or 10 or 12, whatever hoop size that you have. So that's an option. I'm leaning toward that now instead of the winter 2 border or Christmas 2 border that I originally thought I would do. Now I'm leaning toward the swirl border in a 1-inch by 10. I think that would be really cute. So anyway, you have some options. Hey everyone, so I wanted to show you, I've decided I'm going to double up, have 2 of the fabric strips being quilted at the same time in one hooping. And if you choose to do that, I want to show you how. So you can use, like I mentioned, the winter border 2, and that would be really cute. Or I just realized that we can use the clear blue tiles. There's some borders in there, the swirls or the what's the other loops, or the loops. So if you use one of those are available in the 1-inch, so you can use that for your inner border if you choose. So I'm going to use that actually. So I would go to File, Open, and then find the quilting design of where you have it. So go to Swirls, Block by Block. I'm going to do the 10-inch. We need it to equal out to 18, so 10 inches closest, and like I said, it will just run off the edge. So if you hit your shift button and your mouse key, you can zoom in or out. We actually need to change the hoop size. You can see it comes in at a 5 by 7, and that's too large for that. So we're going to change our hoop size. There's this little button up here that looks like a hoop. Now if I do my 6 by 10, you can see that it's too big for that because of that main fabric placement and tack down. So I'm going to go up to my 8 by 12 hoop. If your largest hoop is an 8 by 12, then you would need to do the 6 by 10 quilting design, because the 8 by 12, or actually the 2 by 12 design won't fit in your 8 by 12 hoop. So you can see, because of that outer placement and tack down. All right, so I'm going to move to my 8 by 12 hoop, and then it fits, and shift button so that I can see all of it. And then I'm just going to click on this and move it. So you can see, you want to have it centered. You can see from these points here where the center is, and then we're going to go to File, Merge, and bring in another one of those. So it's the 2 by 10 is what I'm using, depending on your hoop size. It all depends on your hoop size. So if you have a 5 by 7, you would use the 2 by 6 design here. All right, and then just move that over. Make sure it's centered and lined up. And then what's going to happen is, you can see on the steps here, it's going to stitch all of 1 through 5 on the left, and then it's going to come over and stitch all of 6 through 10 afterward. Or you can merge the steps so that you're doing them together at the same time. I'm going to do that. So to do that, you would just click on the number 6 step, because you know number 5 is the last bit of this one. So we're going to move over to number 6, and then I hit my shift button and move the mouse and bring it up to underneath number 1. The colors go together, so that really helps. So shift and move it up to bring it under number 3. And then this number 8, same thing, shift, move it up and bring it under number 5. And then the 2 yellows go together, so shift, bring it up. And then they're all together, so you can see we have a placement and a tack down for each one all together. So if you go to edit, join threads, then we can join them, and now we just have 5 steps and they're all conjoined, they're together. So we've got them all together, but like I mentioned, we added our batting to our fabric, and so I'm going to actually bypass steps 1 and 2. I'm not going to need those. You could easily right click on them and delete thread. I'm going to keep them in just so I remember to tell everybody to bypass them for those that aren't using software. But really all we need is step 3, which is the placement for our main fabric, and we will stitch that right on our stabilizer and then use that to place our fabric strips for our inner border. And then number 4 is the tack down or the basting stitch. And I am going to use that because it will hold our fabric in place, and plus it will go into the seam allowance, so it doesn't matter. And then the last one is our quilting design. All right, so that's how easy it is. Make sure to do a file save as. Always save as. If you just save, it will save over the first design that you brought in. So I'm just going to right click after where it says swirls and type double. Then I know I've got 2 of them and I'm all ready to go. Okay, once you have the placement stitch down, then you're going to take your fabric and that 1/4 inch seam allowance, I like to put it just past the box so that you have a seam allowance without any, if you were to put it within that box, then it's going to stitch right from here and down. And that's okay too, because there isn't batting there, so you'll still have your seam allowance, but it'll look neat, in my opinion, if it has just that little bit over where before the box starts. So then tape in place just long enough for it to run the tack down stitch. I like to tape it in place at the top and the bottom because you can see from the box where it's not going to stitch. And then, like I said, I'm doing 2, but you could certainly do 1 at a time. But then we're going to go ahead and run the tack down stitch. But the key thing here is just to get it right within. You can see the stitch line right within that box. You want to make sure that your fabric is within that box and straight. All right, and then we're going to run the tack down stitch. All right, you can see I did a much better job at centering this side than this side. So you want to you want to check it before you run it and try and get it as straight as you can. It's not going to matter really, but within that box as best you can. And then it's going to run the quilting design. So I just want to show you what happens if you are looking around a camera when you're placing your fabric in the box. Do you see how it's right on the edge here and then it's too far over? So I'm going to take up these basting stitches and redo this one. But just look carefully when you are placing your fabric in, because this is your chance to get it just right. Okay, once you have your first hooping all done and you take it out of the hoop and remove the extra stabilizer, then you're going to do your second hooping and get your placement stitches. I know it's hard to see on this mesh cutaway, but then you're going to take your first hooping and see this little stabilizer line here that tells us where that first hooping ended. And so we're going to use that as our guide, and we're going to fold it over. I'm reaching around my camera here, so excuse me, but we're going to put that, see the end of this first hooping is there. We're going to use that and line it up with our box and pull it down and tape in place. So we're going to do that on both. We're going to do that on both strips here, or one if you're just doing one at a time. Tape it in place, and for this one it's going to run off the edge. Let me see, there you go. So it's going to do the quilting all the way down, and we don't care because we have stopped our batting. We've cut our batting to a 1/4 inch, so it doesn't matter. It's going to just run right off the side. We're going to watch it so that it doesn't move while we do the tack down stitches. So if you've done 2 of them like I have, then same thing. That stabilizer line right there is where our first hooping has ended. You can see it really well there. And we're going to just put that as our guide for where the next hooping will start. And just line it up in that placement stitch, tape in place, and then we'll run the tack down stitch. To help hold it in place while it runs the placement stitch, or the basting stitch, sorry, you could put a little piece of tape in between because it's only going to stitch on the sides. Just an option. If you taped it, make sure to take that off before you do the quilting. And what I did is when the machine gets to the part where it's going to come here and there's that little lip that the foot could drag it up, I just stopped my machine, and so that it goes super slow. You can even hold on to the green go button and it will just slowly do a little bit. So that's what I did to make sure that the foot did not pull up the fabric that has the extra part here. All right, when it gets to the end, like I said, you're going to just let the quilting run off the edge. I just stopped it because why not if I'm sitting here watching it anyway. So that one is done. Now I'm going to go ahead and forward to the next one. All right, so we have both strips done. The first 2 strips are done. Do the same for the next 2, but I want to point out, so this is where our first quilting ended and where the next one began. How perfect is that on both of these? Look at that. Well, there's an extra string there, but oops, sorry. So that's amazing. All you have to do is line up your stabilizer from the previous hooping to the box of the placement stitch of the next hooping, and it's just seriously perfection. Okay, now let's talk the flange. So this was interesting. So let's start with what we need. So we are gonna, again, just like the others, we're gonna have 4 pieces and 2 are longer than the other. So the first 2 pieces of your flange fabric, you're gonna cut to 2.5 by 18.5. 2.5 by 18.5, and like I said, I backed mine with fusible stabilizer and then also batting. So your batting on this one is going to be 2 by 18, and like I said, on the inner borders I added mine by using a glue stick. That worked for me. That spray works fine. Whatever works for you. I don't personally like this spray, it's messy. So that's the first 2 pieces. The second 2 pieces of our flange, we are going to use 2 pieces that are 2.5 by 22.5. 2 by 2.5 by 22.5, backed with fusible stabilizer and then added with batting. And your batting on this is going to be 2 by 22. And so one little note is when you're, like I cut mine to 2 by 22 and then I started putting on, and as I'm pressing it down, I found that it was a little bit longer. So feel free to trim the end if it ends up being that you need a little less than that. You want to make sure to have your 1/4 inch seam allowance on every side and the ends. So, and then let's talk the quilting. So on the quilting, this turned out to be a little bit challenging. So if you look at the new St. Patrick's quilting design that they have, it comes in a 2 inch. So, but not all of them do. So I started looking at which ones do and which ones don't. Most of them are 3 or 4 inch width for the outer borders. And so most of them actually don't work for us. There's 2 that come in a 2 inch for the borders, and it's a Halloween one and a St. Patrick's Day one. So neither of those work for this pillow. But I had a light bulb moment, and I realized that we can use any 2 inch design. It doesn't have to be a border design. So then it opens up a lot of possibilities. So of the 2 inch design, you are going to use 2 inch width times whatever hoop size you're using. And like I said, I'm going to use my 6 by 10 hoop, and my 6 by 10 hoop, I can do 2 hoopings. So each strip will have 2 hoopings of 2 by 10. That works perfectly because remember, we have our batting stopped at the seam, so it's not going to matter. We're going to let the extra quilting design just run off the side onto our stabilizer, and it's not going to matter because we won't have batting in our seams. So 2 by 10, any design that you want. It doesn't have to be a border. How cool is that? So I found a few. You're going to want a blue design because the others will go into the seams in the whole bit, and you probably don't want that since we're going to be rehooping. So I would go with the blue design if I were you. So of the blue designs in the winter theme, there's only a couple. So there's Christmas 3, which is the trees. That's super cute and goes great with our winter theme. Or there's the Stars 1. That one would be super cute on our pillow. Totally works great in, 2 by 10, 2 by 6. If you're using a 5 by 7 hoop and you're going to use a quilting design that's not a border, then you're going to look for one that's a 2 by 6. So that will work fine. You'll just have extra hoopings. So 2 by 6, I'm going to use the 2 by 10, like I said. So like I said, you could do Christmas 3 or Stars 1, or if you have the clear blue tiles, you could do Winter, which is the one with the snowflakes. That's what I'm going to use. I think that will be really cute for this pillow. And keep in mind that with my busy fabric, I'm probably not going to see the quilting much anyway, but I'm going to use Winter from the clear blue tile set. There's also the loops. That would work fine. So basically you can use any quilting design that is 2 inches wide by whatever hoop size that you're going to use. So all right, now we have time to get ready with our flange. So very fun to do. We are going to finish this pillow after we quilt our inner and outer borders. We'll put those on and we're going to add our backing, and then I have an extra step of something that we're going to do if you choose, and it will also give us an opportunity to learn a little bit more on software if you choose. Hey everyone, so if you want to merge your flange borders the same way you did the inner borders, I'll give you a real quick how-to on that. So again, I'm using Sew It Pro software at the moment, and I go to File, Open, and choose the quilting design. I'm going to use the winter design with the snowflakes, and I'm using the block by block. Since we want it to go to 22 inches, I'm going to go ahead and use the 12-inch 2x12. All right, you can see it opens to a 5x7, so I'm going to go up here and change it to my 8x12 and show you what happens there. All right, zoom out. All right, you can see it's too large for this hoop. So I'm going to have to go to my larger hoop, go to a 9x14 hoop to make that fit, and then it fits. So if you are doing a 2x12 design and your biggest hoop size is a your biggest hoop size is an 8x12, then you would need to do the 10-inch size, the 2x10 in your 8x12 hoop, and do more hoopings, whatever works for you. But again, since we have the batting on our fabric, it doesn't matter at all, because you're just going to let any excess run off onto your stabilizer. So I'm going to use my biggest hoop. I've brought in the 2x12 design. I'm going to move it over and then File, Merge, and bring that same design in again. Another 2x12. Bring it over here, and just like we did on the inner borders, we're going to reorder the steps. And it's super easy. You just click on it, click the Shift key, move it up to the design that goes with it. You can see, so placement stitch, then we have tack down, we want the other tack down. It's always after this teal color, so that should help. So Shift, move it up to under the other tack down. This is the placement for our main fabric. After the quilting design is the other placement for our main fabric. Just bring it up, nice and easy, and then we've got all of the stitches together. Go to Edit, Join Threads, and join all adjacent threads. And like I said, we're not going to use this first and second one, but I'm going to go ahead and leave it in just so that I can remind everybody to bypass those, because we've already got our batting on our fabric. And then the placement stitch for our main fabric, we'll do that onto our stabilizer so that we know where to put the fabric strips. And then number 4 is the tack down or the basting stitch of our main fabric, and number 5 is our quilting design. How cute is that? All right, and then we'll always do a file save as, name it double or whatever works for you so that you remember what it is. All right, how easy was that? Let's get stitching. Okay, now it's time to talk about the backing. So for our back fabric, I chose this cute penguins. Oh my gosh, so cute. You're gonna cut 2 pieces of fabric for your backing that is 13.5 by 22.5. 13.5 by 22.5, that's big. And then once you do that, you're going to fold down the long side, so the 22.5-inch side, fold it down once at 1/4 inch and then fold it down again at 1/4 inch, and I iron it and then do a stitch to hold that in place. So you're getting a nice little edge for your envelope backing. Do that on both of them, one on one side of your, one on one piece of your fabric and one on the other piece of your fabric. So then if you want, you can also add a label. So I did this. How cute! Oh my gosh, so cute. I love this. So I'm going to show you in software how I did this. I'm pretty happy with it. So it's from the Kimberbell Winter Volume 1. It's on that CD or the direct download. It's the one with the cute little heart. And you can see I took out his heart and I added my name and the year. And it was really easy to do. I'll show you in software how to do that. I also added a 4x6 block, and I'll show you how I did that too. So totally optional if you want to add a label. It's a fun thing to do so that you know when you made it, and when it's passed on generations down the road, they're going to remember, oh, my grandma made this, right? So cool. All right, so we are nearing the end. Let's finish up. Hey everyone, Cristin Som here, and I'm going to give a quick tutorial for those that choose to add a label to the back of your pillow. So as you can see, I have it open here on my software. I'm currently using Sew It Pro embroidery software, but I'm going to be trying out Embrilliance in just a couple of days. So if you're in the market for software, hold off, because I am going to give a little trial. Like, we're going to try it out. I'm going to let you know what it's like, straight out of the box type of thing, of what it's like to run with Embrilliance. So just hold on. And anyway, in the meantime, I've got my Sew It Pro software open, and you can see I've already completed this snowman, but I'm going to show you how to do it. So you would start by opening up the snowman. So I'm just going to go to File, Open, and that automatically will open a new tab for us. So find your snowman where you keep him. I have them in Documents, and then Embroidery Files, and then I have them in Christmas. And then from Christmas and Winter, I go down to Snowman, and then he is called Snowman with Heart. So he's down here at the bottom. Snowman with Heart by Kimberbell. And then the biggest one on this is a 5x7. So I went ahead and I did a 5x7. All right, for some reason he opens down here. He did it last time too, and that's odd. So make sure when you open yours that it goes to the center, and if it doesn't, make sure to move it to the center. So you will want that to happen. So you can tell that it's in the center from all of these points here. And so now he's in the center. So what I wanted to do is to take out his heart. So we know obviously that this is his heart, but we also have to take out the placement and tack down stitches of the heart. So let's start by finding that. So we can see that number 1 is the placement for his body, and number 3 is his hat. So that means number 5 is his heart. So this is the placement for his heart. So I clicked on that to see what it is. Now I'm going to right click on it and click Delete Thread. And same thing, this is the tack down of his heart. So right click, Delete Thread. And then there's the satin stitch for his heart. So right click, Delete Thread. So now we have the snowman just as is. And then we want to do 2 things. So 3 things actually. So I wanted to add my name to it. So I'll warn you, you're going to want a small font. This is a thin little snowman, so you're not going to want a big wide font. So I have my fonts on an embroidery or on a Word document. And so I went through all of my fonts, just looking through them of what didn't look too thick. And also, most important thing is one that it was available in a 0.5, a ½ inch size. So you can see a lot of them are 1 inch size. I've written mine down as far as the sizing. So a lot of them start at 1 inch. This is a ½ inch one. Lots of 1 inch. So I just went through all of my font designs to pick one. Oh, this is a ½ inch. I didn't even know that. So Maya is my personal favorite font. I didn't use that. I ended up using Tatiana. So just look through your fonts and choose one that you think would look nice on your snowman, and one that's not too thick or too large. So you can see that this Tatiana font comes in a ½ inch size. It's Tatiana font by Designs by Juju. This is what it looks like. It's pretty. You don't need to use a cursive font or script font. You could use a regular font, and that actually might fit a little bit better. One thing with the cursive fonts though is they're going to connect, so they'll be really close together, so that helps too. So this is the one that I chose. It, like I said, it has a ½ inch size, and it also has numbers with it, and I wanted to be able to add the date. So that's what I chose. I used Tatiana. So I went to File Merge. Once you're on your snowman on Sew It Pro, you're going to go to File Merge, and then you're going to find the first letter. So I go to my embroidery files and then to fonts, and then scroll down to Tatiana. I have a lot of font designs. So when I first started, I found a set that was like 100 different fonts or something like that for like $10, something like that. So I found a lot, and then from there I started getting ones that I really liked. So you gotta watch for the sales and things. And Designs by Juju has a lot of fonts, and they have that deal where you can get like 6 of them for $10 or something. I don't remember what it changes every month, but look for sales. So Tatiana font by Designs by Juju, and I want the ½ inch size. And like I said, I'm just getting the first letter for now. So mine is obviously a capital C. So C cap. Click on that, click open, and then move it to where you want it. And it doesn't have to be too specific just yet. All right, and then from there, there's this lettering. It says icon. It's right up here. It looks like it says icon. It's very small. But it says insert lettering from info pane, and this just makes it so much easier. And I've already opened some things since then, so I have to scroll down, but if you don't have anything else open, it would just open right to that. So then you're going to go ahead and type in your name, or click on your name. I think you can also type, I'm not sure. But so mine is an R, and you can see it's not next to my C. There's like a little space in case you don't want them connected, but I do. So I'm clicking the left arrow button on my keyboard to move that over. And then and same thing, I'm going to move it over just a tiny bit. S, move it over. T, I think I'll leave that one. Yeah, and then I, that's a J. Oh, that is an I, sorry. All right, and then move it over, and then an N, and move it over. So here's another thing. So then you would click on this icon again, and it goes back to the regular. Now you can see if I wanted to place this, I'm going to have to click on each one. But really easy once you've already got it situated. Like I have it sized just right. I have them all moved over. Once you have that done, then you can go to Edit, Join Threads, and it's going to join all the adjacent threads of the same color. Say OK, and now look, I can click on that and I can move it wherever I want it. And it keeps them all together, so I don't have to sit there and move each letter. That would be a pain. All right, so we've got that, and then we're going to go back to the icon and do my last name. So you can see this is really easy to do, much easier than you think. All right, so move that first letter over. It doesn't have to be exact because you saw we're going to move it at the end anyway. I'm going to move that H over. So you're just moving them around until it looks right to you. You can see that this is kind of a wide font. So it's up to you. You might choose one that's a little bit thinner. I think I might move this O over. And like I said, the way that I'm doing this is just the left button on my keyboard. So if you click somewhere else, then you can see how it looks, and I like that. So here's another key thing. So I'm going to click on icons, and you can see that my SOHM is right next to Cristin. It's all the same color. So if I click that join, it's going to join all of my first name and all of my last name, and yet I haven't positioned my last name. So I don't want to do that. So here's a really easy way to fix that. On the one that's already joined, Cristin, I'm just going to change the color. So all I do is I click on that and then click down here, add another color. And then I can click outside of that and click Edit Join Threads, and it's just going to get the SOHM. Join all adjacent threads. All right, and so now I can move it to how I want it. I want it up here and centered. All right, so then we're going to do a date. I'm going to do a date. It's up to you what you want to do, but I go back to the icons, and then I have the date, the numbers. So if I do this, I'm going to show you something. So I am going to put it up here because that's where there's room. If your name is really short, you could move it to however works for you. But my name was a little longer, so I needed the widest part of his tummy. So I'm going to put the date up here, but I want to show you what I'm going to do afterward because it's a little bit too wide because this is the narrower part of his tummy. So I'm going to bring the numbers together. Let's see. All right, so once you have that, now don't forget, so when you go up to this icon, it's going to have the date attached with the psalm, with your last name, because that was the last thing you did. So again, you want to click on that one and then change the color so that you can move these around. I'm going to change it to a different color just so that you can tell that it's different. All right. So the color obviously doesn't matter, but I want to be able to join the date. So I would go to Edit Join Threads, join all adjacent threads, and I know I've just got the 2022, so that's perfect. And then I can move it. So there's one other thing I want to show you here of what I chose to do. So when I look at that, to me, the 2022 is a little bit too big. So it's a narrower part of his tummy, and it just is too big to me. So if I click on just that, just the 2022, I can go up here to this box that has, it's a box with little corners on it, and it says resize. I'm going to do that, and since I only have the 2022 clicked, that means it's only going to resize that. So I am going to go ahead and change it to 90%, and you can see it's got it aspect, so I only need to change one, and it'll change both of them. And look, it made that smaller. Do I want it smaller again? Let's check. So if I go to resize and then bring it down 90, so I'll give you a little tip. Most designs you can change up to 20%, and it's not gonna mess up the design. But almost all digitizers or designers will tell you that they don't want you to change their designs, and that's because they can't guarantee what you do to them after that point. So generally, a rule of thumb, though, is 20%, and you're going to be okay. If you take away 90% of the size, it could definitely mess up the design itself, and none of that is on the designer. That's on whatever changes that you make. So that's why they don't guarantee the design if you make changes to it. But a good rule of thumb is generally 20%. You can make changes, and it's not going to be problematic. So you get to decide if you like it like that, if you want it bigger, if you want your name moved, if you want a different font, whatever. So at this point, my snowman is done, and I like him. Might move that 2022 down just a tad. All right, so that's good to me. So the other thing that I wanted to do is I wanted a box around my snowman. To make it easy for me to stitch. Sewing is not my forte. I'm still not great at it, but I can stitch a straight line if I've got a line to follow. So that's what I did, is I stole this, the little box. Well, guess where I got the box from? I'll show you. This was so easy, I was really surprised. So if I go to File, Merge, and I go to my quilting designs and choose any quilting design, doesn't matter. I don't know why I'm focusing on which one, doesn't matter. So I chose a 4x6 quilting design, and like I said, it doesn't matter which one, because we're going to take that off. You could choose to quilt your box if you want to, but I'm not going to. So what I did is I'm going to click on it so I know what it is. It's showing me it's the quilting design of the Christmas trees, and then right click, delete thread. This is that basting box for the main fabric. So if you wanted a bigger box, you could take that one. Delete thread, I'm not going to keep that one. So here I have a 4x6, you can see the sizing right up here, and that is my placement stitch and tack down stitch of my batting, but I'm not using batting, I'm not doing any of that, I'm just stealing this box. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it here because having it stitch at the end is totally fine for me. Actually, you know what, I'm going to move it, because if I use it as my placement stitch for you could actually keep both. So what I did is I just used a large piece of felt and put it in my hoop, but you could use this to know where you want your felt to line up if you need to. You could keep that placement and tack down stitch. I'm only keeping one, and like I said, I put a piece of felt in my hoop, and I'll show you that in a bit, but I put a piece of felt in my hoop, and then I tacked it down, and the tack down makes it so that it holds really well and you don't get puckers. And then afterward I used it as my stitch guide to be able to sew my felt onto my back fabric. So to move it, since right now it's the last step, you would click on it and then click your shift key and click on that number and move it up to the top. All right, so now you have your box, your 4x6 box, and then all of your applique pieces. And like I said, I stitched mine on felt. You can do whatever you want to do, but I liked that look and it made it stand out. So that's how easy it is. Don't forget, when you're all done, you do a file, save as. I've already done mine, so yeah, here he is, 5x7 Cristin Somm. So you would just add your name to the end or whatever you want to be able to remember your design by. And then you save it and you've got it. I've already saved mine, so I'm not doing it, but always do a file, save as, otherwise it will save over your existing snowman and you want that cute little heart some other time. So that's how to do it. Super easy. I hope you learned something new, and I hope you'll join me on my Embrilliance journey soon. And my shirt today is Baby It's Cold Outside. It's from So Cute Appliques, and the sweater is from Macy's, and there is a link underneath this video for both the design, the embroidery design by So Cute Appliques, and also the sweater if it's still available. I know a bunch of people in our Cristin Creates did this as the same sweater, and but they all came out so cute, so fun. So anyway, there is a link underneath this video at the very bottom of all the supplies and items that are needed for, and also future project information. There's also a link to this design if you decide you want to make a shirt. I'm really in love with this pillow. So very, very fun. So I have to thank everybody. Honestly, this was my favorite project ever that we've done, and we've done quite a few projects together over the years, and this was my favorite. Everybody had so much fun and was so complimentary toward each other, and seeing all the different fabrics and the different designs that everybody came up with in putting their pillows together, and especially all the color schemes. I just love that, the different designs of the fabrics, and seeing it all come together. I can't wait. So I'm really excited to see all of your pillows. So make sure to share it in the Cristin Creates group. In a week, I will post one last video, and it will be everybody's pictures of their completed pillows. And then I'll put it all together for all those that haven't started yet. So this was fun, and I just want to thank you all for joining me on this adventure. This was really, really fun. I really enjoyed it, and I appreciate you all. So many of you have asked if you could donate a class fee toward my tutorials, and you absolutely don't have to, but since so many have asked, I did create a PayPal link. I'll post a link here and also below the video, that if you want to make a donation toward supplies for our tutorials, you're more than welcome to, but absolutely not required. And honestly, I just appreciate so much that you guys are so fun. We have so much fun together, more fun together. And yeah, the tutorials are definitely a lot of work and time, but I enjoy what I do. So we're having fun together. It's so much more fun this way. So anyway, I just want to say I appreciate you. And for those that have been asking, there is a link available. Thank you so much. So finish up your winter stash buster pillow, and we're gonna jump right into the Lucky Us pillow. If you haven't already, you need to purchase the Lucky Us design. It's in the Kimberbell vault. It's basically following this same design, but with all of the St. Patrick's Day designs that are included with that download. So also you will need a fabric kit. I bought mine from my local quilt shop. You can do that as well, or you can use your fabric stash. It's totally up to you. And quilting designs. So there are some new St. Patrick's Day quilting designs in the at the Kimberbell website. I am almost sure that I am going to use quilting designs from my existing collection, but I will make sure to tell you which ones that Kimberbell recommended, and you can do what works for you. So anyway, Lucky Us is coming up next.